Our climate is changing.
Our economy is changing.
We here at Kentuckians for the Commonwealth are not just looking for solutions.
We are looking for justice.
We as a collective are trying to find common ground.
Radical empathy and non-judgment curiosity.
We believe that sharing our stories will inspire others to share theirs.
And have the conversation we need to have.
This is so we can get the justice that the people deserve.
Someone described canvassing to me as it's going back to the principles of good organizing. That it's remembering how to do good organizing and meet people where they are and to listen well, to agitate folks and get people thinking critically about the issues they're facing and what they can do about them together with their neighbors.
You know other people that have been impacted hard by flooding or even in other parts of the country?
Well, like my mother, where she lives so far in the holler, where it went rain, and she has well water.
Okay.
So her water went dry. And,
Yeah.
She went several weeks without running water because of that. So,
Okay.
and I don't know, like I said, when the creeks get dry, I don't know, it seems like a lot of sicknesses too, if you noticed a lot of things that's going around. I don't know if it's got anything to do with the weather, but like people's allergies, it seems to got worse, and people with flus, and you know what I'm saying? And even this COVID, sometimes I wonder if it ain't got something to do with the weather or the air we're breathing,
Mm-hmm. I mean, as the climate's changed, things are growing and changing different.
Do you think deep canvassing is effective? I think specifically the radical empathy part of it. I think for so long people are conditioned to have certain talking points on one side of the aisle or the other. I think more people should be able to connect the dots between all of it, and they just can't because they're told that it's because of their neighbor or it's because of themselves. So I think being able to really name an issue that they're facing and then have them expand on that and see how much we have in common has been really effective. I think more people, as soon as they're aware of how these things connect, are more willing to be involved.
We're under the impression that the only people that can make big moves and do really anything in this world are the politicians and people that have money. And people don't really realize that, it was the people that elected those officials, and it was the people that, make sure that they have those jobs. And their jobs are just like everybody else's. And I would love to just see, more of that kind of feeling geared towards the people more, and instilling not a sense of things will get better. It's they can get better, because if you're actively doing something about some issue, if you're working together, if the community's working together, you can get through it together. And I just think of families, if a family's faced with an issue, they don't say, oh, well, let's just let time wait, we'll just kind of just let it work itself out. You put food on the table, you get your family fed, you put clothes on their backs. I just want to see us work as a family.
Radical empathy in the context of this job, I see it as listening to people's stories and trying to understand where they're coming from, even if they're disagreeing with us, or even if maybe they don't, even if they're not really trying to understand my point of view. I'm trying to understand, if they have a point of view that I think is wrong, or hurting this cause that I think is, hurting people in general and hurting themselves even, trying to understand why they feel that way and give them the grace to have that opinion, even if it may be wrong, because there are systems in place that want them to believe things that are detrimental to themselves and detrimental to the community.
When you live in a country and when you live in a state where you don't see people talking about it really seriously, or acting these larger actions have an impact, it feels really overwhelming. How do you bridge that disconnect?
Yeah. Absolutely, and that's why we're also out hearing people's stories, and we also want to talk to people about solutions. So, what kind of solutions have you heard of, or that you'd like to see, whether it's at the local, state, or even federal level?
Sure. I mean, I think I'll be honest. I'm really excited about the idea of seeing bigger incentives for things like electric vehicles, alternative energy sources. I grew up in Union County, which is deep coal country.
Yeah.
My dad worked for the mines,
Yeah.
and it's tough. You hear people talk about their livelihoods is tied into that, but you think, we know that that's like a very like concrete, like bad thing. Like burning coal is going to cause all of these cascading environmental problems, right? Yeah. Not just bigger emissions, but also the process of mining and.
I was really glad when you guys showed up, and there's an interest, because I don't see a big interest in the environment here. Most people are hung up on the coal industry, but it's been phased out through not needing as much coal, I think, because our temperatures are warmer, and also the equipment has phased a lot of men out. I mean, I've never worked in the mines, but I know the equipment in the last 20 years have replaced a lot of the men. So those jobs aren't coming back.
I do know that pollution and things like that have an effect on climate and climate control. And I know that it's very bad down here. And what they made me do is really pay attention to the difference in air quality. I mean, I could go out maybe east, south, further east part of my city, and I'm sitting there just breathing in the air, taking it in, like just really enjoying it. And I find myself asking, like, why am I doing this? And then I come to the realization of, well, the air is more cleaner. And it doesn't take a day for me to realize that. It just takes a split second for me to realize how much more healthier it is to breathe the air. So for these people to come to me and shine some light on this situation, it's a blessing.
I think what I wasn't prepared for was how hard the stories were going to be. And it's not just climate stories. When you are able to actually open up and be vulnerable with another person and they do the same, they are going to share a lot with you. And you have to be able to be in that uncomfortable situation and to care and be curious and be compassionate during all of that. And it can be really hard and it can be really emotionally draining. I know the first couple weeks I did this, I was very tired every day after canvassing, but just understanding that these are people with their own stories, and that they're important, and that you are that outlet for them to actually have these hard conversations. And that is an important job. And so just be ready for it. Have a support system.
I think if somebody is deep canvassing for the first time, they need to have confidence. It's going to be awkward. It's going to just be weird, but it's definitely worth it. Finding that connection is a strange feeling. It's really awesome. It's really rewarding.
A lot of patience. I've learned that we all have similar backgrounds and beliefs, and I don't think people are really aware of that. because they just don't communicate with one another, like neighbors, and just like friends and stuff like that I've talked to during this project. Like, they're surprised to know that there's others out there that are struggling like they are, that, you know, care about these issues just as much as they do. And it's just like really wholesome to watch, like the little, I don't know, light bulb that goes off in people's heads.
I've learned a lot doing this deep canvassing work. I've learned that I'm not the only Kentuckian that has had climate change affect their lives and the loved ones' lives. I've learned so much through other people and conversations that I've shared with them about how this issue is very prevalent here in Kentucky, and not just here in Kentucky, but all nationwide and worldwide. So I'm grateful to have been able to share those experiences with other Kentuckians, and at the same time listen and make space for those Kentuckians to share their stories.
It's building community and building relationships with our neighbors in a way that helps us build our power together. It's really about connecting around the issues that are impacting all of us, and finding the ways in which we share a lot of the same goals for our world and for Kentucky, and it's about uncovering that together and finding ways that we can work together to create change.